Hi, welcome to One for the Road, where we navigate sobriety, recovery, and life in general. Tune in as we share our experience and opinions while answering any questions you may have.
My name's Marissa. This is my co-host Judy and our guest today, Heather.
Hi.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the follow button, do all the things. We've got some stuff coming up. We have a relationship series coming up. We're doing an interview today on recovery homes. And we are going to kind of like collab with a guy that runs a channel. It's JFT Guy. He is, it's a Narcotics Anonymous thing. It's a reading. He does a really good job with just explaining that. He does like a gratitude list at the end, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to be on his channel. We're going to have him on our channel. We're going to be doing something. So look out for that.
Yeah, and you can find him at hashtag JFT Guy.
Yes.
Yeah, Google.
JFT Guy. Yes.
Yeah, he's also on Twitter too.
Yeah, super nice guy. Really into the recovery thing. He's been around since like 2013.
Yeah,
so
sober.
He's got he's got a lot of experience, and so it'll be fun to collab with him. But more importantly, today we have a good friend of mine, and just like a pillar in the recovery community out here. Heather runs some recovery homes, so we kind of wanted to just get like an idea about that. Solid Ground. So
the name
yes, of her recovery homes. There's several of them out this way. A lot of people that I know have like gotten started. So let's I want to know like what inspires someone to like start a recovery home.
So for me, and I'm going to keep it this kind of vague just to protect some anonymity, but a family member in 2014 actually passed away from a drug and alcohol related incident. Super young, in high school, captain of the varsity wrestling team, good grades, just like an amazing kid, but struggled with alcohol and drugs. And after that happened, his mother couldn't really take care of the house anymore, but didn't want to let it go just because of all the sentimental everything in that house, being that was the house he grew up in and everything. So I stepped in with someone else, and we were kind of like, well, let's like turn this into the exact opposite of what it was. Like, it was a negative experience, drugs and alcohol in and out of this house all the time. Like, let's take this negative house in this community and turn it into a positive house in this community and make it a sober living home for men. And that's exactly what we did. And so she was able to keep the house, in her name, and we turned it into a sober living home, and we're renting it out. And that went on for a couple years until we like really realized like, wow, there is a huge importance for this. And there's like not enough of it. Like when we have like 10, 15, 20 guys on a wait list, it's just like, this is ridiculous. And then you have guys getting out of treatment, and then they're like, well, I don't know where to go. And this was 2014, 2015, 16. So 6 years ago. I mean, there's a lot more resources out there now, but back 6, 7, 8 years ago, there really wasn't anything out there like there is now. So in the following 6 years, we ended up opening 6 more sober living homes.
Wow.
Spread out throughout the next 6 years.
So are those male and female houses? Like, how does that?
So currently where we're at now, we had 6, some of them we had to close down. And that first one we opened was unfortunately in a city where like the village was so in denial of a drug problem, and they didn't want to work with us. And that was kind of a problem we had with a couple of our other houses too, that, cities don't want to recognize this as like a community problem. It's like, it's not happening here.
Yeah.
Like,
Not in my town.
right,
Yeah.
right. And so they don't think that they need these resources, these positive resources. So right now, though, we have 3 male sober living homes and 1 female sober living home.
Cool. Very great. And so what's the purpose? I know you mentioned, and I just want to say real quick, what a great way to turn it around, right? The negative to the
Yeah.
positive. That's
Yeah.
inspired. A lot of people don't think like that. And what a testament to your thought process, right? But like what's the purpose? I know you touched on it a bit, right? Like getting out of treatment, but do you have to come from treatment, or can you just be your regular, a run-of-the-mill alcoholic drug addict out there?
Yeah. So, the biggest purpose, why I keep doing this is because, like, so many men and women need like that safe, sober, structured place to go, especially coming out of treatment. Or we have taken residents like straight out of prison or off the streets or from a homeless shelter or from a motel, sometimes from detox. Everything is just case by case, but really the biggest purpose is to give them that environment that you can't really create. Like newly sober,
Yeah.
you come in and you're like, okay, maybe I've changed locations, I've blocked all these old people, and now I don't know what I'm doing. I have nobody and nothing. Where do I even go from here? Like, I go to a few meetings, but maybe I feel like I don't fit in. And it's like when you're placed in a sober living home, you're instantly surrounded by either other men or women that are going through the same shit as you are. So it's like, okay, you understand me because we're in a sober living home together. And like, now I have a group.
Yeah.
Now I'm forced to be surrounded by this group of people, whether I like them or not. I constantly have somebody to go to, somebody to hold me accountable, somebody who knows what I'm going through and is trying to stay sober, go to meetings, work with their sponsor, be a part of this community in a positive way.
Yeah.
And the sober living homes can provide that.
Yeah, you mentioned meetings. I heard you say meetings. And so that's something that I wanted to ask, is that a requirement for your, because I would like to know all the requirements for it,
Yeah,
but is
what's
that,
the requirement?
what does that requirement look like? Do you require 12-step meetings? Like, do you require 12-step programs? Like, is that how your houses are based? Because there are some houses out there that are just recovery homes. They don't require you to work any sort of programs or anything like that, but yours, yes, right?
Yeah. So just because like that's what's worked for me and that's what I've seen work for countless others, like that's what we're focused on doing. The biggest requirement is that you have to have a sponsor, be actively working the 12 steps of your choice, whether it be AA, CA, HA, NA, CMA, like pick a program.
Any of the A.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Pick your program. Go to 4 12-step meetings a week. And we have a mandatory AA house meeting every Sunday evening.
At all the houses, right?
That's awesome. What are other, so then just off that, so they have to work a 12-step program. What are other, like when someone calls you up and says, hey, I want a place to, go, what's the spiel, right? Like what's the, I know you hate
I know,
that.
I was like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
go through this
I know
spiel
that
all
you
day,
hate that.
every day.
But like what, someone, I call you and I say, I'm getting out of treatment, I want to come to your sober living home, and you tell me like, that's cool, but this is what I expect, right? Like, what are your expectations of people when they come in?
So my first question usually is always like, what was your drug of choice? Just to kind of get an idea. We don't allow anybody on any kind of maintenance medication. So
like methadone or something
correct.
like that.
No Suboxone, no methadone, no narcotics, benzos, amphetamines. And that's a huge struggle sometimes, because I'll get people that'll be like, oh, well, I'll stop it right now. And I'm like, no, I would never recommend anybody to stop any kind of medication they're taking.
Right. We're not doctors, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not a doctor by any means, but there's other sober living houses out there that accept clients on other kind of maintenance medication, and that's fine, just not here. So as far as that, we don't really take anybody on those medications. So
Okay.
that's, one of the first questions I always ask. Probation, parole, just what that looks like. Just to kind of see where we're at. Are you doing IOP? What does your schedule look like? Do you have an ID? What does your work abilities look like? When men or women move in, a lot of them have nothing. Maybe some clothes, which is fine. Like, we have clothes. We provide bed, bedding, pillow, dresser, nightstands. And then if they need help beyond that, toiletries, bath towels, all of that we can help with. But coming in, if they don't have an ID or a job or money, like, that's fine. Like, I would say probably 75% of the residents come in with zero clothes, zero money. And like, that's okay. Cause like, it's not about the money, and it never will be about the money. So we also have, as far as, like the things like that they need, we have recovery coaches in these houses now that they don't help with recovery related stuff. They're more of just a coach to help you through your recovery. So they really help guys work one-on-one to get an ID, if they need a link card, if they need insurance to make doctor's appointments, to get a job. We give
Life
the
stuff.
guys, yeah, exactly. Life stuff
Yeah.
that, like, I wish I could help everybody with, but with 40 plus residents, like, I can't sit down one-on-one with all of them. I
Yeah.
don't know everything.
Is that a state, because the government, it helps fund some of the things, right? Like, it's state funded, or does Solid Ground hire people?
That's state funded. The recovery coach
Okay,
program
yeah.
is state funded.
Yeah, we're
So
fortunate to have like
Absolutely.
some intervention with the government and
With
stuff
the
like
government,
that. And you guys get a decent amount of resources from them, which is incredible, which is so incredible.
Yeah.
So what are the other requirements? So like, someone gets in, but like, what's the requirement for people to stay? Like, now that you're in, now that you're, and drug test, you drug test people too.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming
Right?
in the door, you're drug tested. You better be ready to pee, because you have 45 minutes and that's it. We're not playing games.
We're not going to
We're
the
not
store.
playing games. Right. Yeah, so be ready to take a drug test. And we have alcohol on there too that goes back, I believe, 80 hours. So you need to pass completely. No weed. It's not this, well, I smoked 30 days ago and it's still in my system. Sorry. Completely clean drug test at all times.
Are they weekly tests, or are they just random?
They're random. They're usually like weekly random. They're never on the same day every week, or sometimes they're more than if someone seems like they're on bullshit,
Gotcha. Well, yeah. It's you, I guess.
Yeah. So weekly drops, there's chores. So in every house, there's a house president and a chore coordinator. And that house president they're held to the same standards as everybody else in the house. It's just somebody in the house that I trust, that stays in constant communication with me, so we can be on the same page, since I don't live there. I don't know what goes on at 2 a.m. or.
And this president is like a client, right? Like, it's not just somebody that's hired, it's a resident at the home.
Yeah, it's a resident at the home. They have their own bedroom, so perks of being a resident.
Nice.
No roommates. Or perks of being a house president. I mean, no roommates. So
that's perks of being the snitch.
Yeah.
Well, come on now, man.
Them a little bit.
Let's
here.
not, positive spin it, man. Right? It's accountability, right? Because we're trying to do a new thing.
I don't know. You're telling on me at 2:00 in the morning. You're the snitch.
Well, bitch, what are you doing at 2:00 in the morning that you need to be told on? So come on, let's get with it.
But so speaking of 2:00 in the morning, there are curfews. So during the week, curfew is 10 p.m. On the weekends is 11:30. And we extend that based on what step you're on. So once you get and you're working steps 8 through 12, your curfew is extended.
Cool.
Just because we are based off of working the 12 steps. And I try to tell people, like, you don't have to have a sponsor. You don't have to work a 12-step program. But if you want to live in this sober living house, like, this is what we're doing here. So if you can align with that, do that. Like, and if not, we'll help you find someplace else to go.
Right.
No, no members of the opposite sex. So the men cannot have women in the house at all. The women cannot have men over at all. No overnight guests are allowed. And once residents have been with us for 30 days, no problems, they're up to date on their fees, they can take one offsite overnight per week.
Okay.
So they start to get a little bit of freedom there.
After
If they're doing their thing, if they're going to their meetings, working with their sponsor, going to work, paying their fees, then they get little, and a lot of people don't even do that. They're like, I'm gonna chill, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right. How long can somebody stay? Like, is there like, do you stay for a year? Is there like an end date to this? Sober
So
living?
yeah, we don't have an end date. And there's no minimum requirement, no maximum requirements. It's really what each individual resident like needs it for. Like some people come in and they just maybe were court ordered even to go back to treatment, but their life is all together back at home. And they think after a month, like, okay, I got this, I'm ready to go back home then. And they're moving on. Or some people have been with us for over a year and they're like, I need this structure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So it's very individual then, right? It's kind of like based
Yeah.
on need versus, a one size fits all sort of scenario.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Cool.
and they pay rent, right? You don't have to give me numbers and stuff like that, but it is something that the resident pays.
Yep.
They pay their way through this.
Yep. And that's, the importance of getting a job is to become a normal part of society
Sure.
again. But also, yes, because we have to pay where we live.
Right.
So yes, they pay weekly for where they stay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and so that sounds like what it comes down to is that it's not just getting sober. The recovery process, right, teaches us how to grow up and, become functioning members of society, right? Getting jobs, paying bills, doing household chores, all of those things, being part of a group versus being that, terminally unique individual where, I'm above taking out the garbage and, I'm going to skip out on my rent and expect people to understand. So for sure. I mean, it sounds like it's a total package, right? You're working these steps and getting sponsors and doing these things, but also the real life skills that people sometimes, whether they don't know or have put off to the side through alcohol and drug use, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it gives you a foundation for like just life in general, but you have someone looking over you. That accountability is so important.
yeah. Can you get kicked out? That's what I want to know.
That's gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
What happens?
Mine's a two-parter. Can you get
Yeah.
kicked out? And how do you get kicked out?
Yeah. Tell us that because that's what I'm trying to
Tell
find
us
out.
everything. I'm going to move in now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The easiest way to get yourself kicked out is to relapse.
Okay.
That'll do it. And it's been, when I first started doing this, it was a huge learning process, but I found what is best for the houses and other residents in the house. Like there is no, oh, I just used one time, can I just stay?
Right.
No, you need to go in, whether like we'll sit down and everything is so case by case, but the initial, like you fail a drug test or an alcohol test, like you're out. There is no questions asked. There is no talking about it. But where we go from there, because like I want to see these men and women back here. Like if this is where you want to be, like let's figure out a way to get you back here.
Right.
But for right now, for the safety and sobriety of the other residents in the house, you cannot be here. Whether that looks like now going to detox or, some of these treatments will take them back for just 2 weeks or doing another 28-day program and then coming back to us. Those are always options. And that's what we always try to encourage and work towards to get them back to us, to like, I'm never just trying to kick somebody out on the street. Like,
Sure, right.
Relapse is part of a lot of people's story. And like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like, but like, what do you want? Because I always say, like, I can give these men and women all these tools, all a safe place to live, a sober place to live, like these meetings in the house and recovery coaches. But if they don't have the willingness to do these things, then we can't work on getting you back here. There's nothing for me to offer. But if somebody's willing, like I fucked up, but I want to come back, like we'll get them back.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what happened.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people come back 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Like, let's do it. Like,
For sure.
let's make it work. Yeah.
Can you get kicked out for having a bad attitude?
So, you know,
listen, I don't need to come there, but I just want to know for
Yeah.
future reference, you know, because I sometimes can have a bad attitude. You know, it's all about me. So.
So it's been rare and not a bad attitude, but I have had a few people leave that had not relapsed, but they were extremely toxic for the house.
Yeah.
Sure.
One bad apple
Um,
spoils the
Yeah,
bunch.
right.
And that's, you know, sometimes I feel like even though you're sober, the manipulating, lying, stealing, cheating, deceiving, and is more toxic to that house than somebody who relapses once and leaves.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
and
but
that
somebody
doesn't
who's-
always go away just because you put down the
Exactly.
drugs and alcohol, right? Like you have to
Right.
learn this stuff for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Hence why you have people work programs.
Right.
Because
Right.
that's where a lot of people find that change in behavior and everything. It's not just about putting down the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Knowing
That's,
something about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're in a position where you have to protect everybody. So
Right.
Yeah.
I see why you can't have someone relapsing, why you can't have somebody that just has a bad attitude, because you have to think about the house overall. Because how
Right.
many people are in a house? Like out of your,
Right.
how many people are there?
So it's around like 8 to 10 people in each house.
Sure.
Okay.
And think
So-
about personalities in that, right? Like
Right.
that's a real life skill. Think about it. Having to deal with 10 people and you go to work, sometimes you only have to deal with 2 or 3 people. Now you're in a living
I have to
environment.
cohabitate with one person in my life, and that's a fucking challenge. So I don't know
Right.
how we're doing 8 to 10
8 to 10
people.
Right.
Like that's
trying to
insane.
Right.
And newly sober.
Right.
Newly
Right.
sober.
Right.
Whoa.
And that plays into the importance of like getting a job, like get out of the house. We're not having 8 to 10 people sitting at the house together,
All day.
Right.
trying to watch a different TV program all day. Like, you're out of the house. I'll go to those houses throughout the day and I'll be lucky if there's even one guy home, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
Like, they
Right.
really are out working and everybody works different shifts, and it's kind of like everybody's on different schedules. So it never feels so full and crazy.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
crazy.
That's good. It's crazy. I can't listen. I get mad at my dog. I can't,
Yeah.
Listen,
you know, for real.
you know what, I moved back home after rehab. It was an option, right? Like, and that's what I was going to ask you too, is how people find you. But
Oh yeah.
that was like an option, you know, to do, because treatment centers, they promote, right, recovery homes, right? Because they're successful. People
Yeah.
have a lot of success, and some people don't have somewhere to go, you know. And I was like, I don't know. I should have gone to sober living, but I was like, I don't know that I could live with that many other women, like mom and dad.
I don't know if you
Please
can.
let me come home. Please let me come home.
Yeah.
But just living with living with your parents after rehab,
Yeah.
I probably would have been better off at just sober living home. But so I know that was like that was given to me as an option. And when I was in treatment, I didn't know what that really was. They kind of gave me the rundown, and I didn't work after I got I didn't work right away after I got sober. So I was nervous about all those things. But is that how people find you? Is that how does someone find a recovery home?
Yeah.
When they kind of don't, because I didn't have an idea.
Right.
I didn't really know what
Right.
that was. Like, even when I was told what it was, I still, you know, I didn't learn more about that until after I was sober for some time.
And even if you don't know a name of a sober living home, like how you know, it's not like you can Google solid ground, right? Like
Right.
you know what I mean? If you don't know what you don't know. So
I don't know half the time how people find solid ground. Like, I'm like, sometimes I get phone calls and I'm like, sometimes people will call my personal phone asking for solid, you know, is this solid ground? I'm like, how did you find me?
Yeah.
How did you find? Oh, I got it from a friend of a friend of a friend. But a lot of it is, I have just built up such good relationships with a lot of treatment centers, really all over Illinois, north of here, south, east, west, and in a few other states that like, I guess they have like booklets there, you know, I don't know what it,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
they
that-
have a bunch
yeah,
of phone numbers. So,
Yeah.
you know, the majority of residents in the house do come straight from treatment.
Okay.
When it is people coming out of jail or prison, it's usually from their PO or they're on drug court. And again, just over the years, I've built up a solid relationship with a lot of the surrounding counties, the
Mhm.
drug courts, a lot of probation officers, that they're just like, okay, if we don't have a drug court house for you, like call solid ground. Otherwise it really is just like word of mouth. Like
Yeah.
I do get phone calls like, oh, my friend stayed there like years ago, they told me to give you a call.
Is there a way to like Google? I think that that's the question. I mean, I've never really just sat down and done it, you know what I mean? But is there a way, like if you are not coming out of jail, if you're not coming out of treatment, so you don't have that resource, right? Those, you know, social workers and drug counselors that are giving you some sort of direction. You know,
Yeah.
you're just a 21-year-old kid who got kicked out of your house for drug and alcohol abuse, and you decide you want to change your life, right?
Yeah.
How would somebody go about that? I mean, even if it was in Illinois, I mean, is there like a resource that they would be able to, do you know of anything like
Yeah, so I don't know off the top of my head. I don't want to give off any side websites that aren't correct. So I'll have to give it to
Yeah,
you
we'll
and you
give a
guys
link.
can post
We'll
it.
Yeah.
post it
But
for
there
sure.
is, Illinois does have a website where like our sober living houses are registered and
Okay.
every other, and it'll break down the details, like are they men, women, how many residents, like you know, I can't really remember how it breaks it down, but there is a website for, you know, men or women to go to and can search up sober living homes like
Sure.
that.
For
So
sure. Well,
there's
that's
We'll get some
great.
information. We'll post it in the link
yeah, we'll
below.
put it in the description box for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So that's all amazing. Is there anything we don't know what we don't know? So is there anything else you feel like we didn't cover? I feel like we covered a lot of
Covered a lot
areas.
of ground, yeah.
We definitely did. So is there anything you feel like we missed, or did we just do a great job at asking you all?
Are we
You
just
guys
awesome?
are wonderful. I know. I always hate that at the end. If you're like, well, do you have any questions? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh
You're
no.
like, no, I think it sounds good.
Yeah. And you know, I feel like we did really cover like a lot of, you know, the big questions that people have,
Mhm.
people that are unaware of kind of what goes on in sober living and is it for me? I don't think
So no, it's fine. I'll
The
let you
answer
have
is
so
no.
no. So
I'm like, I'm trying to
She's
think
not-
of something
she's
because I hate those people that are like, no, we're good.
yeah, no.
Well, for sure. If anybody has any questions after seeing
Yeah.
this, you know, please post it in the comments and we will, if Marissa and I don't know the answer, we will get in touch with Heather and find out
Yeah.
or bring her back.
Absolutely. No. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on. I'm
Thanks,
so
Heather.
grateful.
Yes.
You really are, you know, I'm in the area where your sober living homes are at. And I do know, you know, I'm aware of a lot of people and you've helped a lot of people. And I'm super grateful that I get to
Yeah.
know you on a personal level. And thanks for being our first guest on our
Of
show.
course.
Your wonderful
Thank you.
impact on the community for
Super
sure. Thank you.
grateful.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions for Heather, put it in the comments. We'll be in touch. She'll be in touch. I know it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification button. We're doing the 3-part relationship series. Our guy hashtag
Hashtag
JFT
JFT guy.
Yeah, you say it because I'm terrible at it.
Hashtag JFT guy.
JFT guy.
Yep.
And we're going to be doing some work with him soon. And yeah, thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
And keep
Keep
coming
coming
back.
back.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
That's all for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification button so you know when new posts are coming up. Keep coming back.